6:01, and we will get this Board of Adjustment started for July 8th, 2019. First thing we want to do is to let you know that we will be sitting an alternate, and Ricky will be the alternate sitting in on the board, and we'll have all the ability to vote as well. Okay, and just for that, what I would like to do is have a roll call, if you wouldn't mind starting from the left, please.
Frank McElroy.
Earl Hartzog.
David Reynolds.
And Richard Jevitt. Okay, we have seated the alternate. Now, the first item on here is the consent agenda. If you would all take a look at the minutes for the February 4th, 2019 regular meeting. Any corrections or adjustments, any changes? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay, I have a motion from Frank. The second from
Second,
Dave.
yes, I'll second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Meeting's accepted. Okay, the first item on...
Sorry, can I have the vote again? Who was first and who was second?
Frank McElroy first, aye.
Second by David Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we will hold this as a public meeting, and the way that it'll work is like this. The staff will do the presentation first. After the staff does their presentation, we will then open it up for public meeting with anybody that is interested in talking on the specific topic, and that would be the, the Cross Bank and anybody else that is interested in it. Once the public meeting is closed, then the board up here will ask their questions before we continue to the vote. Okay, is that pretty clear for everybody? All right, thank you. All right, at this time, we'll call on the, Nick, please.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. So this is a request for a variance to the Verde Enterprise Business Park, PDD, and the 1996 Unified Development Code in order to permit additional wall signs and larger wall signs located at 16895 I-35, Schertz, Guadalupe County, Texas. So just for your reference here, the subject property here is outlined in green. This is I-35, and this is Schertz Parkway. So it's just right on the north side of 35 right there. So in preparation for this hearing, 5 notices were mailed to the surrounding property owners on June 19th, and a public hearing notice is published in the San Antonio Express. At this time, staff has received 0 responses to the public hearing notices. So getting into the signs that are proposed with this variance, it's 3 different wall signs. This is the first wall sign on the southern facade of the building that you could see in your proposed sign package. They are requesting 48 square feet total of area and 4 feet tall letter and logos. Allowed under the Verde PDD in the 96 UDC is a max area of 80 square feet and a max letter logo height of 12 inches. The current UDC allows a maximum area of 250 square feet, and there are no letter and logo height restrictions. Moving into the second sign with the package is the wall sign on the eastern facade. This one's a bit smaller. Requesting 30 square feet total area with 3 feet 2 inches tall letter logo. Again, under the Verde PDD in 96 UDC, only 1 wall sign is permitted. And under the current UDC, a maximum area of 75% of the primary wall sign, which was, in this case, the previous wall sign that was 48 square feet here. So it would be 36 square feet. So as you can see, this sign as well meets what would be under the current UDC, but does not meet the Verde PDD in 1996 UDC. On the other sign, the third sign on the western facade is the same size as the sign we just looked at. It's another one of the smaller signs, 30 square feet total, 3 feet 2 inches tall letter logo. Again, 1 wall sign is permitted in the Verde PDD in the 1996 UDC regulations, and it does meet the current UDC regulations with a maximum area of 75% of the primary wall sign, which is 36 square feet. So looking at the variance review criteria for the first one, does the requested variance violate the intent of the UDC? It does not. The 1996 UDC is intended to enhance property values, maintain aesthetic attractiveness, promotes equal commercial opportunity throughout the city, and supports the comprehensive land use plan as adopted by the city of Schertz. It doesn't violate the intent of that UDC because the proposed wall signs are scaled appropriately for a building on a major interstate highway, and they would be well under the maximum requirements permitted through the current UDC 2111 wall signs, which is 250 square feet for that largest sign. The second criteria, are there special conditions or physical features that are peculiar to the subject property and are not applicable to other properties within the PDD? There are no special circumstances that differ this specific property from other ones within the Verde Enterprise Business Park PDD, as they are held to all the same sign standards. However, the sign standards outlined in the PDD are more restrictive than, like I said, than the current UDC standards for commercial properties along 35 that are zoned general business. But there are no special circumstances delineated from the other properties within that specific PDD. Does the interpretation of these provisions deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties within the same zone district? So even though it is under the Verde PDD, the base zoning district under the PDD for this property is general business district, as it is along 35. The approval of this variance would allow this property to exercise the same rights allowed on other general business zone properties along I-35, and therefore meets the intent of the UDC. And so moving into staff recommendation, we do recommend approval of the requested variance for these reasons, that it does not violate the intent of the UDC, that the proposed sign package would be allowed under the current UDC regulations as written, well below the limitations. And the approval of this variance would be consistent with ones you've seen in the past. Specifically in the Verde PDD, proposed sign variances to meet the current UDC regulations. You saw last year with Staybridge Suites, the proposed signs that were in conformance with the current UDC requirements were approved. So once again, just to put this up on the slide while you consider, these are the two variances you'll be voting on separately and independently. The allowance of 2 additional wall signs, one on the eastern facade and one on the western facade, and allowance of the larger wall signs, which in turn is that larger letter logo height. The applicant is here to answer any questions that you may have as well.
At this point, we will open up the public hearing, and if there's anyone that would like to speak at this, please come up to the mic and just state your name and address for it, please. Anyone want to speak, huh? No? Okay. If there are no speakers, public meeting is closed. And now questions from the board? Okay,
Mr. Chairman?
Knucklebaum.
There's a question for the city. Why doesn't the current UDC, why didn't that supersede the 96 UDC as it pertains to this property?
Sorry, say again?
Why doesn't the current UDC supersede the 96 UDC as it pertains to this property?
Looking at the relevance of the current UDC, as the UDC gets updated, it becomes more appropriate for the specific properties in the city of Schertz, and that's why it's important to consider whether it would meet the current UDC, just like we did for the properties previously, like a Staybridge Suites, other properties that aren't in Verde even, that are more restricted due to their specific plan development districts. If we looked at if they were in accordance with the current UDC, it met the intent of the current UDC.
Well, let me ask the question a little differently. When you reference the 96 UDC, is that only in its relation to the PDD?
Yeah, so the Verde Enterprise Business Park PDD, when it was created, it was created as it pertains to the 1996 UDC. That was the UDC in effect when that PDD was created.
Okay, and I can see the PDD is an ordinance, and it's it's not just a protective covenant.
Right.
That being said, do we not have a hierarchy of what controls, whether it's the current UDC or a planned development that could have been at any time?
For the Verde PDD, the 1996 UDC governs it with the modifications that are written into that Verde PDD development regulation standards. This requested variance, the current UDC is just relevant because of, I think, where the property is located along I-35 and kind of the nature of the previous examples like we talked about.
There's nothing that's been codified that specifically says that the current UDC supersedes PDD or vice versa.
Correct.
All right. Anybody else?
Frank,
Mr.
let's-
Herzog?
let me add something in here. I don't know if it was clear enough, but the enterprise, the Verde Enterprise Business Park was set up, and it had a separate ordinance, and it was required to comply with all of those requirements at that time, plus I think other things that they had added in. And over time, we have slowly but surely changed things for those. But because of that requirement, we have to have a public hearing in order to change, do a variance to allow it. Hope I made that clear.
No, I think so. In other words, it's not codified. There's two separate rules in effect at this point.
Exactly. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, after having read this, do I hear a motion?
Chairman, I move to approve.
Okay, we have Mr. McElroy. Anybody second?
I second.
And a second from Ricky. All those in favor, vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And aye. Yeah, 5 ayes, the motion carries. The item is approved. Thank you all very much for it. Okay. All right. At this point, that section of the public hearing is closed, and the item is accepted. All right, item number 5 on the agenda is for announcements, and that has to do with announcements from the board. Anything?
Sure.
Go
I
ahead.
have some. We had the committee meeting here last week, and we've the people on the committee has been kind of tasked to help out and get the word out about the census on April 1st of 2020. So I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Of course, anytime we have a meeting, I'll be bringing that up, and be sure and mention it to all your people, because we want to make sure that everybody gets counted for the census, because it affects the money that we get. And that was one of the things that was tasked on us in the committee meeting. Also enclosed in your package is a copy of what took place at that meeting. And it's interesting, and we had a report from the city manager, and he talked about a few things, and that's all in there on the, a printout of what happened at the meetings. I don't know if there's anything we need to bring out or stuff out.
The only thing we'd like to do is, now I pretty much mentioned it before, and that has to do with the UDC changes and adjustments that may be occurring, and how they are going to affect any of the decisions and when those decisions are made. So from what I understand, we are going to get in touch with the attorney and get some clarification on all those issues so we can understand it. So I would appreciate that. Let us know just exactly where we stand with everything and how that will work. Okay? Is there anything else? Frank, anything else? Earl? Well, at this point, unless the staff has some announcements which they would like to make, and I can see them shaking their heads, yes, they do, no, okay. Anyway, thank you all very much, and I appreciate all the staff's work in getting all this information to us and letting us know. At this time, let's see, at 6:16, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.